Today I have something really special for you, a full-on course on creating modular environment design in Blender for game engines. It will be a series of 10 videos showing you step-by-step detailed workflow including introduction to game engine optimization. Now this footage was recorded for a course that has never been released. The person who is responsible for the Unity game engine part couldn't take the pressure and fold it like an origami. Now this course is easy to follow, and even though I'm using hardops and box cutter, you should be fine in vanilla Blender if you know the basic tools. Now if you don't know the basic tools, I would highly recommend our free course for beginners called Jumpstart Hard Surface in Blender. It will get you up to speed in a matter of days, saving you a lot of time and frustration. The link is in the description. Like I said, the course is free. Now if you get stuck during any of these courses, feel free to join our Discord channel with almost 4,000 people over there and a help section, so you should never get stuck again. Link is down below. Enjoy. So I'm gonna show you how to create modular environment and how fun and easy it is to, to create such environment. So we're gonna start with a scale reference. Okay, so I'm going to basically paste a human over here, human figure. So I'm gonna go to a blend file when I have a human figure, and I'm going to select her, Control C, copy, okay, and Control V here to my scene. Now, if you do not have a human figure, there's a link to a CG Trader storefront page, and there's a free pack with 3 humans, male, kid, and a female. So just extract the female and simply copy paste it into your scene, and you're good to go. Now, the reason why we need it is because of scale references. If I grab a cube and put it somewhere here, let me just go here to the stopping menu and change from face, which is by default, it's a default setting, to increment. So when you press G and hold Control, you can snap to the grid. That's really important. Get used to snapping stuff to the grid, because we're gonna be needing that to be very precise and accurate with our modular environment. Okay, so now if I'm gonna go to side view orthographic, you'll see that this cube is 2 by 2 meters. Okay, if you go here, you can see it's 2 by 2 meters. All right, so now this chick is a little bit too tall. Yeah, she's like I don't know, 1.85. It's like gigantic. She's a basketball player, so we need to make it a little bit more sexy. Yeah, so something like this, I suppose. This would be kind of a reasonable height, I suppose. Something like that. She's still tall, but not super tall. Right, let's remove that. So that's our scale reference, and we can just grab her here and put her into a separate collection. Actually, there is a collection for her already. So grab this human, press M, and scale reference, right, and make a collection. Okay, boom. We can hide her for the time being, because before we're gonna do anything with the scale, which we need for the height of the walls and the size of the environment, we need to design basic tiles and corner pieces, etc. Okay, so I'll click on the collection and Shift A and drop a plane. Right, let me explain what kind of add-ons I'm using. Okay, I'm using hardops and box cutter. These are gonna be the main ones, and I'm using machine tools. Now in terms of machine tools settings, if you want me to show you, I can show you what I'm using. So here's machine tools, and you can see which menus I'm using. Okay, so these are really important. Cleanup is important, smart vet is important. You don't really need the other ones, but I would definitely turn on these, which are quite essential for working in Blender. And then save preferences. Okay, my settings for hardops are very simple. So auto T panel and N panel, all these turned on, and that's about it. My settings for box cutter are quite simple too. Go to input, right mouse button to cancel, and that's about it. Okay, so these are my settings, guys. That's literally what I'm using. Okay, in terms of Blender settings, we can talk about it later, but at the moment you really don't need to worry about it, because all we're gonna do is model my menus for navigating my viewport. So if I press tilde key, which is left to your key number 1 on your keyboard, not on a numpad, on your keyboard, right? So top left corner, You can see there's a point menu, so when I'm going to be switching between different modes like top, bottom, side, I'm going to be doing very quickly, okay? Same with the changing between verts and faces. I'm going to be using tab via machine tools. So vertex, face, edge, solid, okay? So I'm going to be doing it very quickly, guys, all right? But just bear in mind I'm using, you know, machine tools for changing the mode, or from object mode to edit mode, and point menu from Blender to simply navigate my viewport. That's it. Okay, cool. So now let's go to Q menu with this plane selected and solidify, and then when you move your mouse to the left, hold Control, and it's going to snap, you see, to a perfect size of 1, or in our case -1, because we're solidifying downwards. So you see here, thickness 2, offset -1. Now thickness could be 1, to be honest, doesn't have to be -1. We could make it a little bit less thick, so go to solidify and Control, boom, you're gonna snap to just perfectly 1 grid, which is basically 10 centimeters. Okay, these things are important. Now if you're gonna be doing something with the floor, like for example you're gonna be I don't know, bullioning the floor, and you're gonna be creating some cuts in the floor, you might want to make it thicker. So you might want to go here, solidify, and make it, let's say, you know, 20 centimeters or something. Okay, all right guys, so now let's talk about the size of the floor. This is 2 by 2. We want it to 4 by 4, so S2, and we're gonna scale it by 1. So basically we're gonna scale it by 100%, right? So now it's 4 meters by 4 meters. Each of these represents 1 meter. So that's 1 floor piece. Now we're going to Shift D this, okay, X, and move it in here with Control. You always have to hold Control. You can be in orthographic mode, okay, which will help you to, you know, be more precise with the grid. And then we're gonna grab this piece and SX and scale it with holding Control. And now we're gonna have this 2 by 4 piece for the floor, and that's literally gonna cover our floor. We don't really need more than that. You could create one more if you wanted to, you know, 2 by 2, but in this case we don't need it. So if you're gonna bring our human back in for a minute, you see that this floor piece is quite large, which is pretty cool. Okay, all right, so let's hide her and let's keep going. So now what we need is we need a corner piece, okay, and the corner piece is gonna be basically 2 by 2. So let's grab a cube, is actually fine. So we're gonna grab a cube and G and hold Control and move it here precisely in the grid, okay. And now what I want to do is I wanted to grab another cube, okay, so I can do Shift D, all right, and G and hold Control and move the cube in a way that I'm gonna have 4 squares of the grid here and 4 squares of the grid here. So GY, hold Control and snap once. Then what we need to do is simply S, Z, and select this one, Q and difference. Okay, and then we have a corner piece. Grab this one, operations, and multiply, and delete that. We don't need this cutter. Okay. Now here, if you wanted to create a corner piece that's rounded, which is what we want to grab this piece here, Q, and Control click on mark, which will allow you to bevel it if you scroll your mouse. Now you want even number of segments. You can see them on the bottom. And if you don't see them on the bottom, simply go to, again, to Hardops and enable box cutter notifications, which is here. So Q and Control click on mark, and let's create 10 segments, okay? Or you can actually make, yeah, 10 is enough. I think maybe 12 would be better, but make sure it's even. Now the reason why it has to be even is because it will allow you to change the resolution later on if you need to. Now the smoothness of the width of the curve, I think we're gonna go with exact number here. So let's go to the bevel and change this to, you know, to 1. Okay, so offset is gonna be 1, so it's gonna be identical on all of them, and click this and sharpen to smooth it. Okay, now you can check if actually lower bevel is gonna be okay. So let's go to bevel again and lower it to 10, and I think 10 is gonna be fine, you know, completely fine, although 12 probably gonna be a little bit more smooth, so I'm gonna keep it at 12. Okay, all right, 12 is good. Yeah, I kind of like that. Cool. So we got first corner piece, okay? And these corner pieces gonna be fitting perfectly on top of this floor. So Shift D, and you can snap it really with Control right perfectly to your floor. And of course it needs to be a bit higher, so we need to fix it. So let's fix the height of the floor first, right? So now let's fix the height here, because this element should be on top of the floor. So select it, G, Z, hold Control, and boom. And now if I'm gonna G and hold Control and snap it to the floor, you can see that snaps perfectly in a corner, but the inner corner is curved. Okay, awesome. So GX and move it somewhere here. Now we need to create the outer corner, because it's an inner corner, but we also need the outer corner. So outer corner is a little bit different. It's gonna have to be actually a little bit longer, and I'll tell you why in a minute. So let's grab another cube, right? And G and move it in here again. Okay, and now we need to kind of expand this cube on both ends. So here, grab this face and move it by 4 squares, GY, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, same here, grab it and 4 squares, GX, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, then Shift D this same operation and G, and move it by 4 squares on each side. So 4 squares here and 4 squares here as Z, right? And simply select this one and difference. And now we're going to multiply this. Okay, so multiply, remove this, and we're gonna bevel the other side. So here, Control click on mark and 12 segments. Okay, go to the bevel and set it to 1, and you're done. And sharpen. Now the reason why this piece here, the outer piece, is larger, it needs to be longer because of the corner being actually an outer corner. And when we're going to be designing the floor, you'll understand why, but I can briefly show you. If I'm going to grab this floor and Shift D this here, okay, and I'm going to Shift D this in here, I'm going to grab them both and Shift D them in here, and I'm going to create an outer corner, let's say somewhere on this part. So I'm going to grab it and grab it and move it somewhere here. So let's go and move this piece here. You will see that this part takes exactly half of this square. Okay, so it's 1, 2, and here's 1, 2, which perfectly gonna match with other pieces of the floor and walls. Yeah, whereas the inner corner, let's just Shift D that, you see it has to be shorter. So that's how it works. Okay, so let's just reset it and G, hold Control, move it in here to exactly to a position. You have to be very precise and get used to being precise with these. Okay, because now we have this and we need to move it up. Yes, so G, Z, and move it up. Okay, cool. Now we need wall pieces. Okay, now wall pieces need to be exactly the same thickness as these corners, which means they have to be 4 grids wide, and they need to correspond with the width of the wall pieces and also the floor pieces. So we're gonna grab this one, right, the face, and Q and Shift click on curve extract, which will basically extract it. Hold Control and extract it here, hold Control and snap it to exactly this this size. Okay, so this is our first floor wall piece. So G, and we can move it somewhere somewhere here, and then we're gonna Shift D this X, move it in here, and we're going to go to operations and multiply, go to edit mode and hold tab and click on occlude with machine tools so you can see through, and then press B and select these two and G, X, and hold Control, and boom, you got yourself a longer wall. Now this wall is gonna fit the longer pieces. Okay, so now this short piece is gonna be used for kind of like endings here for the corner pieces, so they fit 4 grids on each side, if you know what I mean, like this, right? Yeah, so it's gonna be 4 length, right? Anyway, we need to move this origin point back to the geo, so Shift S and to geometry, and it moved here because this is still solidified. So what you want to do is go here, operations multiply, and then Shift S, and to geometry is in the middle. Same here, operations multiply, Shift S, and to geometry. And this Shift S menu is with machine tools. All right. So these would be our main pieces. Now using these pieces, okay, you can create anything you want, right? Literally any environment you want. And this is how basic it's gonna be, okay? But we of course gonna make it a bit more interesting. Now let's turn on a human and let's see our scale. Now you see that, you know, she would fit in an environment, but it would be a bit claustrophobic. So what my suggestion would be to make it a bit taller, preferably up to maybe let's say four grids of 4 meters, yeah. So we can grab all these pieces, okay, go to edit mode, make sure you're in the pass-through mode, and go to vert mode, click to deselect everything, B, select all these things in the top, G, Z, and hold control and snap it to 4 meters, okay. Make sure it's exactly 4 meters, right? And that's a bit taller, and I think it's a bit more interesting, it's gonna be a bit cooler. Okay guys, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna apply scale to everything. So select everything with A, Control A, apply scale. You might notice that your solidification will be reduced from 40 to 20 centimeters, but you know, it doesn't matter. You can always make it deeper. Now what I want to do is I want to create a doorway, which is gonna be 8 meters. So Shift the X, move it in here. Go to edit mode, face mode, select this face, go to top view orthographic, GX, hold control, and make sure it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right? It needs to be really wide and really big, otherwise it will not work. Okay, and we need to create a doorway out of this. So Shift S and to geometry, which we're gonna move the origin point here. Let's go to side view orthographic and let's grab our cutter. And we also can grab a human and move her here. So Shift D and move her somewhere here. Okay. So let's go to the side view here, orthographic, and let's enable the grid. Select this piece. When you hold control, you will see a grid. You can scroll your mouse to make it larger or smaller. I want it to fit the grid of the background here. So you know, for a 2x2, and I'm gonna create a kind of like a doorway. So I'm gonna start somewhere here, I think, and do something like this, maybe. And we're gonna create like a sort of an elevation that leads through this doorway, okay? Or we could create a denser grid. So scroll your mouse while holding control, create a denser grid like this, and then we could do something like this. It's gonna be a little bit lower, see? Even on both sides, and then, you know, press B for bevel. And we can add, let's say, I don't think 6 segments should be enough. So press X to switch to slice and simply slice it. Now one more time, because I move the cutter. So start somewhere here maybe, and create something like this, and then B and X and click one more time, and done. Select this piece, Alt M, and Shift click on Mod to create glass. And you're done. That's a doorway. It's massive, which is kind of cool. And you know, you could make it smaller if you wanted to. We can also adjust it later, not a problem. You know, we can do whatever we want with it. We can even change the bevel size, etc. So it's really cool. All right, so now let's select everything, Control A, and apply scale. We don't need this human, so we can delete her. And we're good to go. So let's grab this floor, Shift D X, hold control, move it in here. And then I'm gonna go Alt D and hold control. Now I'm pressing Alt D because if you press Alt D, you will create an instance of this object. But you see that it's an instance of an object. So when I'm going to edit one, the other one edits as well. And the solidification disappears because it's a live modifier. Okay, so don't worry about that. Select both, Alt D, Y, hold control, snap, boom. Select these two, Alt D and X, and create something like that. And then let's grab this window here and G, or actually Shift D, and then Q, and uniquify G, and move it in here. And you can see now that everything's gonna snap together. So if I'm gonna grab this corner and I'm gonna Shift D and hold, boom. I'm gonna select this, Alt D, X, hold control, R, rotate it, everything with control, yeah. And boom, look how it snaps together. It looks really nice. And this is how you can design everything you want. Now, in terms of outer corners, let me show you how this would work. So if I'm going to grab this corner here and, you know, let's say I wanted to drop a wall here. So let me just grab this corner and Shift D, and we're gonna have an outer corner somewhere here. So let me just zoom in, G, hold control, and snap it here. And we will have more floor here, so Shift D, X, and snap it here. And this corner probably would be going like this, and then another one would be here, so Alt D, Y, and then rotate it, okay, and then snap it here. See, it snaps perfectly, and because we made it a little bit longer. See that this piece here is 4 in and 4 out, so that's why it was a bit longer, and you can see that they match perfectly in length, okay. And you can design literally anything you want with these pieces. Now, in addition to this, we're gonna need some windows. So we're gonna be designing some windows, and so if I'm gonna grab this one and Shift the X and move it somewhere here, and then I'm going to extend it, so I'm going to go Shift the X and move it in here, and then Shift R to repeat it. Now I get 3 of them. Go to side view, select all of them, and with this grid here, you know, let's cut a window in here. Now the scale is important, so Shift D, move the human in here, and the window should be more or less, you know, kind of on a height where they can actually see something. So something like this, maybe. All right, and let's maintain it the same distance from left and right. B, we can maintain 6 segments. That's cool. And you know, press X and slice it, and then simply Alt M, Shift click. Or you could select this one, Shift select this one, and simply copy it here and copy material. Same with these, you know, copy material. And then you got yourself a window. Now this window should be one piece, okay? Go to local mode. What we could do is remove this piece in the middle and simply go to select these both, and let's go to operations multiply. Then we could remove this face and this one as well, right? So remove faces. So we need to combine them into one object. So Ctrl J to combine them, and then grab these 2 verts and Shift 1. Grab this, just press W to turn off the box cutter, which is gonna give you grief. Shift 1, Shift 1, and Shift 1. And then simply select this one and dissolve edges, so you got yourself a window, okay? So what is this edge in the back here? Something's weird happening here. What the hell is that? Some kind of a rogue boolean? Yeah, the box cutter sometimes does weird things, so you need to be careful. When I'm working in edit mode, you usually have box cutter turned off. So now this window is, you know, is really thick, and there's no framing on it, anything. But it will do for the time being, and you can, you know, use this massive window in your scene. Now we could move this cutter a little bit to the right, to be honest. So have a scroll. So let's click here and have a scroll, and let's see that. Click on this, and we could extend it a bit to the left. So select these, and let's go here to the top and see. We could select this one, GX, and hold Control and snap it here. Okay, so GX, and you know, we could snap it here, GX, and snap it to this bit here, and the same with this one. Simply select everything in GX and snap it, boom. And now you got yourself a window that's, you know, symmetrical, right? And you can move this, you know, as a whole piece, basically. So what you could do is, you know, Shift S and cursor to select it, and Alt A, and we could grab empty. So plain arrows, make it a little bit bigger. And then we could select these, all these bits here, and Shift select this one, Control P, and Object Keep Transform. So when I'm going to move this, I'm going to move the whole piece, you know, with it. So then, if I want to copy that, it's going to be Shift G, So select this one, Shift G, immediate children, right? Which will select everything, and then select this one. And if you Shift D that, you can copy the whole thing now. So now with this copied, you can see that we have this Z fighting, because again, we need to run the uniquify. So we need to go to operations. Let's go to local mode, Shift select one of these pieces, go to operations and uniquify. And then when I'm going to move it, everything's going to be peachy. So again, Shift G, immediate children, Shift click on this empty, go back to full view, and then G, control, and you can grab the empty and you can rotate it by the empty, because everything else will move with it. So G and hold control and snap it, and then you see that you can snap the entire window like this. And this is how you design this environment, guys. It's really easy, okay? So this is how we're gonna be doing it. Alt T, Y, and boom. Then Shift R, and and off you go. And I'm gonna show you how to design the whole thing. And we're also gonna need some window pieces on the front here, because we're gonna be creating really cool kind of like 45 angled windows, 45-degree angled windows, and for the front of this institution. So it's gonna look really awesome. But we will be doing this in the next video, because this one is long enough. Alright, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.